Greetings all, this is Hairy Nick.
This is a less hairy Justin.
That's right. And welcome back to the Hangar Bay, our weekly show where we talk about your submitted X-Wing lists.
And this is my new awesome faction, the droids, which are actually older.
New awesome, old awesome, whatever. Yeah. The Separatists. Yes, we did the Jedi Starfighters last week. And you patrons wanted me to do more Force users, and now we're doing the Sith Infiltrator.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised. I would have thought we'd go Vulture droids.
I was just thinking, it's Vultures. Yeah. It's got to be Vultures. That's got to be what everyone's hype about. Look, we'll get around to that. Don't worry about that. Yeah. There's plenty more bites of the cherry of the Hangar Bay, so to speak. I think that metaphor broke down as I kept saying it, so let's move on from that. We're talking about the Sith Infiltrator this week, which is the big sort of TIE V1 looking thing.
It has foldable wings.
That's right.
I didn't know about that when I bought it. I felt so good when I realised.
Sinai hadn't quite streamlined their design yet, and they made it really big, you guys. As such, it is on a big base, which, of course, unfortunately comes with all those caveats that big base ships have right now. They're not performing so well, especially not on non-Leia related factions. We don't have Princess Leia to fix this one, you guys, sorry to say. But it's doing a lot of really cool things a lot of ships don't do.
We also have Count Dooku for it, which is pretty good.
Yeah, Count Dooku's pretty awesome. In fact, a lot of really cool crew on the Separatists right now, and it's the only one that can take them.
Yeah.
It can also take tactical relays and bombs and force and cannons and torpedoes. And it has a really cool title as well.
Yeah.
It's a big sort of utility ship, something that I would have thought is more indicative of the Scum faction. Although, having said that, I don't think there's not meant to be a lot of overlap with these two factions. They do feel very similar.
Yeah.
In fact, it'll be interesting to see what FFG do with like the bounty hunter characters from the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Because they could pretty easily go on either faction. If we get like Jango Fett, that could be Separatists or Scum. Cad Bane, again, could easily be either. The pilots we do have are the Sith Lords, Count Dooku, Maul, and one of Palp's droids, 066.
Yeah, Order 66.
Yeah, I was wondering if there was some kind of connection there. 066 is some kind of comic-related thing.
Lando comics.
Yeah, very good comic. You guys should read it. Also, we do have a generic pilot, the Dark Courier. The buy-in cost for this platform is 53 points, going all the way up to 65 points with Darth Maul, which is absolutely fine because you get Initiative 5 and 3 Force tokens. Also, we have Count Dooku at a slight discount, only 61 points, going all the way down to Initiative 3, but this ability is really good.
Yep.
We'll talk more about that when we get to the lists, but the pilots and everything going on here feel excellent. Stats are 3 red dice, 1 green dice, 6 hull, 4 shield, all of those upgrades I mentioned before. Cannon, torpedo, crew, bomb, modification, title, and tactical relay. Focus, target lock, red barrel roll, which is really good on a big ship. And all the force shenanigans associated with that. Only has a forward-facing firing arc, which is not very common these days on big base ships.
So the best thing I can relate this to is one of the first edition aggressors.
Yeah, the Brobots, absolutely for sure. Considering it has like S-loops and a pretty decent dial, that comparison is absolutely fair. Just bear in mind that those ships also had 3 green dice and evade. So that does
change it completely.
Yeah, give us a pretty clear distinction. I don't think it changes it completely. Much cheaper overall, this ship is... speaking like Yoda now for some reason. Darth Maul at 65 points, is actually cheaper than the old Brobot. So those things have to be taken into consideration. Plus it's got 10 health. Out of everything else on the Separatist faction, this will not pop. This needs a lot of focus firing to take down.
Yeah.
And alongside all the Vulture droids, I actually find that quite interesting. I think that's going to be very helpful on this faction for sure. Anyway, we'll talk more about the ship as we go through these lists. First of all, we have a couple of patron-submitted lists. This one by DJ Smithy.
Yes, this has Darth Maul and 5 Trade Federation drones.
Yes, the cheapest Vulture droids we can get on the table. Darth Maul has Hate General Grievous, Count Dooku, DRK-1 probe droid, the Scimitar title, and Kraken.
And the drones are just as they are.
Which I think is absolutely fine. They're 20 points each. pushing the lower limits of what we can do in X-Wing in terms of point value. I think there's nothing wrong with just taking these guys by themselves.
Yeah.
Darth Maul is stacked.
Yeah, he is 100 points.
Absolutely. That's a lot. All the other lists we're going to have a look at today actually don't push it quite this far. I wanted to make sure we featured this in at least one list. Because it is worth asking the question. I mean, this kind of build, when I think back to first edition, is not absurd. The kind of power level we get out of this ship. It's a large base ship that can hit really hard, a lot of utility. Feels like something you put in a scum list in first edition.
The only thing I can think about with this ship is maybe if you could lose some points on Darth Maul, you could then put some energy shells on the Trade Federation drone.
Yeah, that might make everything a bit more equal in value. Well, approaching equal in value. Obviously, they're very differently costed ships.
But at the same time, like...
It's all good stuff.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing... Usually with these kind of lists where something feels very bloated, I go, oh yeah, this upgrade, this upgrade, this upgrade. While they're fine. I've got to go because they're not going to perform. Everything is got a different flex on it. It all seems to work together pretty good. Like the probe droids, this is a card I'm generally not convinced on because it takes so much setup. You've got to pop out your droid and float it towards your opponent's ships. And the payoff is you get a bunch of target locks. I don't know how good that is in the Separatists right now.
Well, you can also jam as well.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, you've got to fly it really close to your opponent's ships.
Yeah.
And then they have to then not shoot it, or they can shoot it and they lose a shot against you, so you have to fly very aggressively. It takes a lot of things. It takes a lot of setup.
Yeah.
Bottom line. It's got a bit of utility. 6 points seems a bit rough. I mean, it's the thing here which I look at and go, that's the one thing I have to have a look at and go, maybe not.
Yeah, but at the same time, you've got a fair amount of charges on it as well, so you can use it a couple of times.
Yeah, you can use it twice, I suppose. Yeah, that's good. You can get the 2 remotes out. Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like everything on here is just like firing on all cylinders apart from this. That's what I'm thinking. General Grievous is fantastic for 3 points. I think a lot of people were speculating like 5 points plus.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Hate's fantastic.
Yeah.
Scimitar for 4 points, giving you that jam action alone is fantastic. And then Red Cloak and all that really cool stuff.
Sorry, just speaking quickly on Grievous, it's probably the closest thing we have here to a General Leia. Princess Leia. Princess
Leia, General Leia, whatever, depending on which storyline you're looking at. Yeah. I mean, it only helps the ship he's on. It's still very, very good. I'm very glad that you can get rid of criticals, and also Maul's hauling around 4 force tokens, so it's going to be hard to get like all those crits through. And finally, like, just Grievous away that crit. That's. It's really annoying. Plus, this is a good list to recharge Grievous. Count Dooku giving Maul that 4th token, giving you more utility for that token. That's going to come up. Darth Maul's ability is hungry, wants as many Force tokens as possible. It's all good. It's just a lot. It's so much on one ship. DJ Smithy, have you given this a go?
Yeah, let us know, please.
Yeah, my concern is you probably just want more ships on the squad. You can actually trim enough to get like a 5th Vulture droid on this if you really wanted to. You can do a bit of trimming and get a 6th Vulture droid, or put energy shells on them, or do something else. My gut says it's not a great collection of ships, but I look at that Darth Maul build and I cannot really question it that much.
No,
that's my final thoughts on it. Looks really cool. Looks really, really cool. Okay, we have another list here by one of our patrons, Skyhammer. Thank you for submitting this. With Captain Sear, a little collection of Precise Hunters and O66.
Yeah. So Captain Sear is naked.
The Precise Hunters all have energy shells.
And O66 has the DRK-1 probe droid, the Scimitar, and TV-94.
Okay, the DRK-1 probe droid. Why have we included it on this list?
Target locks are always good to have.
Target locks are always good to have. Yeah, I'm just having a look through this. It's good to have target locks with those energy shells. I quite like that.
Yeah.
TV-94 works great with those Precise Hunters, allows you to add more hit results if they're not using the energy shells, which is kind of cool. It's kind of weird because if you've got a calculate token, you may as well just fire an energy shell. Yeah, that's kind of a weird interaction. I guess if you don't have the energy shell charges left over.
Yeah, or if you're at range 1.
Yeah, that's true. That's actually a very good point. Very good point. TV94 is only 5 points, so basically between that and the energy shells, you're guaranteed to get enough hits out there. I do like that. I'm not entirely sold on the precise hunters because they are 26 points just to buy them in. 30 points with his energy shell charges. That's quite a lot.
Yeah, but that ability is pretty good.
The ability is really good. And people are always commenting on whenever I talk about precise hunters, like, oh, this is going to be very difficult to set up. They're initiative 3. The point of the precise hunters is to fly them in a row, so you basically force your opponent to fly into one of your bullseye firing arcs, which I actually think is a really cool design.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, initiative 3, 2 green dice, 3 hull. As great as that offense is, if you die before you get a chance to shoot back,
You feel pretty bad.
yeah, and this builds 10 more points than a Trade Federation drone. It's got to perform at that cost. You're basically adding on half of the value of the ship again. Just as a side note, I'd actually put TV94 onto Captain Seer. I know it's a more fragile platform, but then you have a bit more equilibrium with those points, which I generally prefer myself. Yeah. Look, Skyhammer, you might fly in a completely different way, and you might find the Belbelab pops too easily with the way you're flying, so that's fair enough. Yeah. Just my suggestion there. Let's take a look at 066. This is, after all, what we're having a look at today. Yeah. After you defend, you may spend one calculate token to perform an action. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I really, really like that. I kind of wish we had that Initiative 1 Vulture Droid to give him an extra calculate token.
Yeah.
Actually really handy with those energy shells as well. That might be something worth considering having a look at here. With Scimitar I've talked about Scimitar before, 4 points for the jam action alone is fantastic. So I got no complaints there. Probe Droid's fun. I mean, you're getting those extra target locks. I don't know if that's the best use of those 6 points though. I want General Grievous. I know I'm going to say it a lot on the Separatist faction, but General Grievous for 3 points is mint. Yeah. It's too good not to take. And the Probe Droid, look, I'm happy to be proven wrong. I just think it takes too much setup. I do like 066. To perform an action, you definitely want Scimitar, so you have Red Cloak and Jam and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, more options. So with the Scimitar and his ability, you can actually perform Jam twice with this ship?
Yes, indeed. Quite easily. The more actions you have, the more likely that is. Which is really, really cool. Red Power Roll's really, really handy. I love the idea of a ship trying to shoot 066 and then it barrel rolls into range 1 of one of their ships. Barrel roll on a big ship. Oh, FFG. Good work, good work.
I like it.
I gotta say, we were comparing this to the Aggressor before. The Aggressor never had barrel roll. Also, one more thing with 066, it has calculate, so you can pass it over to those precise hunters for what that's worth. I think that's kind of cool. When we look at the cost of the Sith Infiltrator, I don't actually think, in general, it's worth taking the Dark Courier because of 066.
Yeah, I'd rather take 066 every time.
It's absolutely worth it for that ability. With Scimitar, you unlock the power level a little bit, but the fact that he has Calculate and Initiative 3, full stop, is great.
So the next list is I Bought One of Each Box by PJ Anderson.
Yep, moving on to our YouTube comments. And this has everything you get from the Separatists if you buy one of each of the expansions. So a Sith Infiltrator, 3 Vultures, and a Belbelab.
Yeah, this feels nice. Like, it just shows what you can do with this team.
Absolutely. By the way, there is absolutely value to be had of this kind of stuff. If you're on a budget playing X-Wing, sure, just buy one of each. And it's good to know that it is viable. I do like that the squad pack does sort of really get your foot in the door in terms of getting you like roughly half a list and then one more Vulture and a Sith Infiltrator and you've got something which could be pretty good. Like, nothing on this looks to me like it's bloaty or inefficient. Sorry, Darth Maul has Grievous and Scimitar.
The Trade Federation drones each have energy shell charges.
And Wat Tambor on the Belbelab has Treacherous and Kraken. The one thing we were talking about before is treacherous. We're not too sure about that.
Yeah. See, personally, I'm not a big fan of treacherous.
I'm very curious about it. It's interesting. There's only like a couple of pilots that can take it on the Belbelub.
Yeah.
Vultures don't have talents, and the Sith Infiltrator has force upgrades.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
Yeah, I reckon take off treacherous, put on hate on Maul.
Hate on Maul just looks so tight.
Yeah.
I think you might say. Darth Maul is hungry for force tokens, and for 3 points, yeah, it's great. The build you have here currently is 72 points, 75 points, still feels really good. This is basically the Maul build we were looking at before, except it's tight. I think is the best way to describe it.
Yeah, you've saved, 25 points there.
Yeah. But then not that those things, that 25 points were used badly in the last one.
No, it just...
But I think Maul's going to perform better like this. No tactical relays on him. We've chucked it on our Belbelub, which I think is probably a good idea. Again, makes the points do this, makes our ships a little bit... It makes that target over there a bit less juicy. I think that's important. Maul might just get focus fired and take it out at the start of the game, so it's good not to have the tactical relay on him for that reason.
Yeah.
I really dig Maul's ability. I think hate is just such an auto include when you need that many force tokens.
Yeah.
General Grievous to make it so even after all of your opponent's hard work, you still cancel out their crits. I just think that's so dirty.
It's so cheeky.
Scimitar is value. It's just such value. It's so good even if you don't really make much use out of it. And I don't honestly think Maul does that much.
Well, even at the start of the game, you're cloaked. So it gives you that ability to move that little bit further, or...
It's really handy.
Yeah.
I will say, actually, with Maul, because his ability relies so much on positioning, decloaking in the best spot and just, like, flanking your opponent's ships and hitting two of them.
Feels good.
It feels really, really good. Yeah. I like the versatility in his ability that he can shoot the same target twice if he misses an attack. Means you don't always have to catch a ship... two of your opponent's ships together. Maul looks super powerful.
Yeah.
I like Maul a lot. Apart from that, Trade Federation drone with energy shell charges is very nice.
Yeah.
I like that build a lot. I plan on using that quite a lot myself. I'm currently working on a list with 6 of those and a Belbelub.
Oh, yeah.
I just think for 24 points, energy shell charges basically means they have a 3 red dice attack, basically.
Yep.
Looks really solid. And what Tambor? I haven't talked about him yet. When you perform a primary attack, you may reroll 1 die for each calculating friendly ship at range 1 of the defender. That's a nice bit of aggression. I like pairing that with Darth Maul. It's 6 more points than the Feathen Outlaw, if you want to get the calculate token. The awkward thing with the Belbelub is if you invest in a higher tier pilot, you lose the calculate token. Treacherous, I'm really curious about Treacherous. I really want to see it do well. I mean, if you cut Treacherous and downgrade it to a Feathen Outlaw, we have 9 more points, which means we're definitely getting a force on Maul. So if you cut those points, you can put more force powers on Maul if you want. But I actually think stacking the points this way is probably a bit more correct most of the time. Just making sure everything's nice and even is cool. Okay, one last list here by, I'm very sorry if I mispronounced this name, Darius Wanaskewix. I hope I got that right.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I wasn't going to try that.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Look, we're Australian. We have very simple names like Dave and Nick and Justin.
Yeah.
We don't know a Dave. The ships here we have is Count Dooku on the Sith Infiltrator, Wat Tambor on the Belbelub, and a few separatist drones on the Vultures.
Yeah, now Count Dooku has Hate, General Grievous, and the Scimitar.
Wat Tambor has Kraken and Solus One.
And then the separatist drones are just naked.
That's right. Very similar to the last list we had to look at, actually, come to think of it. So this time we actually used the Solus One title and Wat Tambor. We've upgraded those Vultures from Initiative 1 to 3. It initiative matches with the rest of the list. That's not a bad thing to do, I suppose.
Yeah, it feels pretty good.
I mean, at the end of the day, if you've got nothing else to spend the points on, you don't really care that much about a bid in this list. There's no 1 or 2 point upgrade for the Vulture, so nothing about that really concerns me.
Yeah.
The only thing I would consider is cutting Solus One and chucking the energy shells back on those Vultures, but we're just talking about the last list again. Let's not do that. Let's talk about this list.
See, personally, I like the Solus One.
Oh, it's very interesting. because it works very well with Grievous's ability. While you defend, if the attacker is outside your firing arc, you may reroll 1 defense die. Also adds to hull.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool. That's not bad for 10 points.
Yeah, no, you feel good. It's better than a hull upgrade.
It's a nice aggressive ability. Actually, very interesting with Wat Tambor, if you can get all of that triggering. Might be magical Christmas land kind of territory. I think getting your ships within range 1 of your opponent's ships, it's at range 1. It's not even range 0. That's annoying. I wish it could be range 0. You got to get your ships in range 1 of your opponent's ships, got to make them calculate, and then you have to catch them outside their firing arc. Now, I will say, it's not too difficult to get one of those things working. Getting it all working together, and maybe that's not really your goal here. Maybe it's just to go, oh yeah, I've got lots of different bonuses and I'll get some of them some of the time.
Yeah.
It's going to be pretty good when you get them all working though.
And also Kraken on Wat Tambor gives him the calculate action, which gives the Separatist drones more choice.
Yeah, I really dig Kraken. I think it's a really decent ability, giving him calculate. Being able to keep calculate, that's really cool. It's really, really cool. Yeah, it's kind of fun putting it on the Scimitar as well, but we're not doing that here. This is a very similar build on the Scimitar. We've added on hate. By the way, guys, I'm well aware that I mispronounce the word Scimitar all the time. That's just how I was brought up. I used to play the Lord of the Rings card game, and Orc Scimitar was one of my favourite cards. At least that's how I pronounced it back then. So I know. Typical YouTuber can't pronounce anything. That's just how I am. Hate Scimitar and General Grievous is nice. It's very tight. That's right. For 71 points, I really dig that. And Count Dooku. Let's just have a chat about Count Dooku for a second. What a pilot.
Oh, so good. After you defend, if the attacker is in your firing arc, you may spend 1 force to remove 1 of your blue or red tokens. After you perform an attack that hits, you may spend 1 force to perform an action.
Which, when you put on Scimitar, also adds Red Cloak, Jam. You've already got Red Barrel Roll, Focus Target Lock. It means you can attack and focus to defend, attack and cloak to defend, which is really, 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 really cool.
Yeah.
You can also decloak after you defend by removing your blue token.
Yeah.
Which is... Oh, it's so good. It's so good. And hate's really decent as well because you can defend. If one little hit gets through, well, guess what? You can recharge that force. Also, the wording here. After you suffer damage, after you defend. Now, my understanding is hate will trigger before Count Dooku's ability, which means you can't recharge the force you just took.
Yeah.
Because defend is that entire window and damage is a part of that. Which is a bit annoying. I don't care. Again, his force ability is very hungry. It wants hate. We just spoke about this in the last video. I wish there was something equivalent on the light side, guys. Not necessarily like hate, but something as efficient as hate on the light side for those Jedi because it's really solid.
Yeah,
it's really solid.
I don't care right now.
You don't care right now?
As a dark side player, no.
Yeah, you're entirely a dark side player. You use the 3 dark side factions.
Yeah. I like my villains.
That's fair enough. Count Dooku looks awesome. I love the idea of Initiative matching him with a bunch of vultures. Wat Tambor. Looks really, really cool. I just wish we had a calculate on Dooku somehow, and then we could make him calculate and range 1 of your opponent's thing. But I don't think we need to push Wat Tambor any further.
No.
I think this is a good all-round value list. Nothing is like wasteful or anything.
No.
I'm not usually a fan of Solus 1, but given that you want to fly Wat Tambor aggressively, you can do like a quasi-General Grievous sort of tactic there, and that actually feels pretty good.
Yeah.
Really, really dig that, and thank you so much for that submission.
No, definitely. It's very nice.
Indeed. Faction looks really, really cool. We'll get back to this soon, talk about Belbelubs and Vultures. In the meantime, guys, if you want us to have a look at one of your lists, just copy all the upgrades and pilots and everything down into a YouTube comment with a link at the bottom to that list within your favourite squad builder.
Yes, please. It makes it so much easier.
Helps out a lot. Yeah, when we're organising this video, getting it all ready for us to talk about. If you're part of the Patreon Discord, just go to the appropriate channel on that. In the meantime, do not forget to like and subscribe. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Reddit. Please consider supporting that Patreon. And patrons, thank you so much for your help with these last 2 videos. Really made everything easy. Glad you guys are hyped about Jedis and Sith and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I am too. We're going to fly these heaps, do some testing on the channel for sure.
Yeah.
We'll catch you guys in the next video.
Bye.